Alright, class, I hope you've enjoyed a lot about our first minority author that we've learned about in history. As we finish up our pre-activities, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I know everyone was very engaged and did very well in their bell ringer this morning. So, we just finished chapter 1, 2, and 3 of Frederick Douglass, the narrative that we're reading. And I have came around and passed out a QAR chart, which is a question-answer relationship chart. And this is going to be our during activity for the day. I'm going to read you guys some of the questions and kind of some of the reasoning for this activity. It's set up into 4 parts. The first box is labeled in the book, and it's where the answer is found word for word in the book. So it's textual evidence. It works on their engagement of their knowledge directly out of the book. So the question in the first chapter of our class reading, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, the author tells us what about Frederick Douglass's ethnicity. So you can tell this question is going to be word for word in the book, and it's going to introduce a little bit more diversity into their learnings. The answer was I am mulatto, which is what, in quotation marks, I am mulatto. White male slave owners often took advantage of slave women like my mother. So it makes, it hits back the emotional aspect of the writing and shows how historically important and great of a writer Frederick Douglass was. The explanation for this section would be, in today's words, Frederick Douglass would be mixed. So if my student did not know what mulatto means, this would be time for class discussion afterwards. I would explain to them in today's terms what it meant. And the next section gets a little bit more difficult. It goes, in my head. So the answer is a mixture of prior knowledge and textual information. So it's a little bit engaging their background knowledge in their mind, maybe that they've developed in the video and the pre-activity, or maybe just from what they already known from before in life. So the question for this section was, when reviewing the reading and keeping your background information in mind, how were mulatto children treated compared to pure African slaves of the time period? So background knowledge of this you probably know and understand that slaves are not treated very well in Frederick Douglass, his time period, or slaves anywhere in the world for that matter. And an example could be, judging by Frederick Douglass's childhood experiences from the story and background knowledge, I have previously gained, mulatto slaves were treated more harshly than those of pure African descent. So that is basically their background knowledge section of it. And then in quotation marks, it would be, this could be due to the constant reminder to the slave owner's wife being reminded of their husband's infidelity upon seeing the slaves of mulatto skin color. So the book told us how they were treated, or gave us emphasis about how they will be treated, and then also a little bit of background knowledge about the slave period. By the time they're seniors in this class, they would have some of that. And the next section of the QAR chart, it would be think and search. So this is basically in the text, but have to put bits of information together to form the correct answer. So it's like in the text, but it's not word for word. You have to really look for it. You have to connect the dots in between. It's getting more into that critical thinking area of learning. And the question for this section was, could Frederick Douglass be classified as an orphan, and why? So the acceptable answer for this from one of my students would be, Frederick Douglass, like many slaves, did not know his birth date or even